Hola and welcome to the next Flip Learning lesson. Today we are looking at regular imperatives, and by the end of the video hopefully you'll be able to give commands or instructions in Spanish. At this point I want you to make sure that your exercise book is in front of you, that you've written down the title and the objectives so that if you come to look at this later on you know where it is in your book. Okay, what is the imperative? Well, quite simply, it's when we are given commands or instructions, as it says in the objective. So, for example, something like eat more vegetables, the verb eat in that form there is in the imperative form. Or something like don't waste paper, the verb waste is the imperative because it's given an instruction or it's given a command. Sometimes in English we call them bossy verbs for a watered down version of what it is. Today we're going to quickly look at how they're formed and what to do with them. So first of all we need to know who we are talking to. Now if I'm talking to one person and I know them, or it's an informal situation, I'm going to use the tu form. If I'm talking to more than one person that I know, so a group of friends or a group of people where I'm talking in an informal situation, I'm going to use vosotros. However, in Spanish they also have a formal way of talking to people, and if I'm talking to somebody that I don't know, I'm going to use the usted form, and again that's just for one person. If I'm talking to a group of people that I don't know, or I'm talking in a formal situation, I'm going to use the ustedes form. So how is it formed? Well, we know in Spanish that when we're talking about verbs, we've got three different types. We've got AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. And if we look in the dictionary at a verb, we will find the ending given in one of these three forms. So let's have a look at how the imperative is formed. If we take an AR verb like hablar, which obviously when you look in the dictionary is going to have an R on the end, in the tu form, if we just were talking to one person and we want to say speak or talk, then we're going to say habla. Just get rid of the R. If we are talking to more than one person, hablad, with a D on the end, formally to somebody, but only one of them, it's going to be hablé, and to more than one person in a formal situation, it's going to be hablen. For ER verbs, for example, comer, C-O-M-E-R in the infinitive, which means to eat. We want to tell somebody to eat, we want to give an instruction, give that command, we're going to say come, C-O-M-E. Let's take off the R like we have with the one above. And if we're talking to more than one person that we know, comed. If we're talking to somebody formally, coma. And if we're talking to more than one person that we don't know, coman. And finally, for this section, the IR verbs. For example, escribir, which in the infinitive you'll find it in the dictionary spelled E-S-C-R-I-B-I-R. Now, if we're just telling one person that we know to write this down, escribe. If we're talking to more than one person, so when I'm talking to the whole class, I'll say escribid. And if I'm talking to somebody I don't know, I'd ask them to escribar. And to more than one person that I don't know, escriban. Can you make sure that you've got this table copied down somewhere in your book, because you're going to need to come back to it. So the form you've just seen before is for when you are given positive instructions or positive commands. So that means you are saying things like eat, write, do, etc. Rather than don't eat and don't run, don't write, etc., etc. So we're going to look at how it's formed when we're talking about something negative. When we're saying don't do something, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that for usted and ustedes form, it is exactly the same as it is. Oh, just got the wrong one there. It's exactly the same as it is in the positive form. Okay, so the good news is that you don't have to learn a new way for that. The bad news is that for tú and for vosotros, there is a different way of doing that. So we're just going to have a quick look at those. For AR verbs, it becomes no hables, and for vosotros, no habléis. So if I wanted to say don't talk, I would say no hables. And if I wanted to say don't talk to the whole class, no habléis. For ER verbs, it changes to comas or comas. So I'd say no comas, don't eat, or no comáis, don't eat, if I'm talking to more than one person. And finally, for the IR verbs, no escribas, no escribáis, don't write. Copy this table down into your book. Now there's a lot of information I've given there over a short period of time, so I want you to, if you haven't quite grasped something, look back over the video again, watch it a couple of times until you're happy with it and happy with the endings. If you're still stuck, send me an email, send me a tweet, write it down in your exercise book, come and find me, talk to me in the lesson, okay? But you need to be able to understand just how they change and have this somewhere so that you know when you're using a bossy word, when you're giving a command or an instruction, that you're going to follow these rules and follow this pattern. For the next lesson, obviously I'd like to see notes in your exercise book to show me that you've recorded the information that was in the video, but also I'd like you to complete the Google form, which is at the which you'll be able to find. I'd like you to write the correct version of these verbs in the imperative using the video and the notes you've just made. So for example, if we have a look at the first one, you don't need to write out the whole sentence on the Google form. You can just write in the verb, save you some time. Look for the ending first of all. So it's an IR verb. Go back to your table, have a look at how the IR verbs change, and then look at who you are talking to, who you are getting to write, and it's vosotros. So go back to your table that you've written down and make sure that you write the verb correctly. Then continue through, please, for the different verbs there, and make sure you're getting the right endings based on who you're talking to. Okay, that's all for now.